Hey, welcome back to Rob's Garage Woodworking. Today I'm going to show you how I installed this 50,000 BTU Mr. Heater Big Maxx shop unit heater. Alright, so there's two brackets. One lines up with the bolts in the back. You can see the holes match where the screws are. So you got to remove these self-tapping screws and mount the bracket. These are 8mm. Okay, put the bracket on. So locate all these first. Hand tighten them after. Alright, so I'm going to use my drywall lift to get this up to the ceiling. The unit's only 63 pounds, and the drywall lift can, you can get a great big sheet of drywall on these things, like a 14 or a 16 foot, and it'll carry it. So, yeah, it'll carry the weight, no problem. What I've done is I've got 2 sheets of 1/2 inch plywood, and I've clamped them in 4 locations onto my drywall lift. And then I'm going to raise this up to the ceiling. I moved it over to roughly where the stud bay is that I want the exhaust to go through. I'm going to raise it up and I'm going to reposition, measure it all out, and then mark it on the ceiling. So now I just have to drill the holes where I've marked them with my 3/8 bit, a little bit bigger than 3/8 bit. On the top are 20 inches apart, so we're going to mark 20 inches here to here. We're going to drill the holes. We have 12-inch 3/8 threaded rod. You can buy these pre-cut to 12 inches, or you can get longer ones and cut them yourself. I found that this was the right length that I needed for this job. And we have 3/8 flat washers and 3/8 by 16 hex nuts. So we are going to have them down a couple inches here. Spin them a little bit and put some thread locker on it. Oops, that's too much thread locker. So I'm going to put some Loctite on that. I'm going to put a washer on it. I'm going to put this through. I'm going to do a washer on the other side, a little more Loctite. I'm going to put 2 nuts on this side because I don't want them to come loose. I'm going to tighten these. And then this one on the top. I'll put a tiny bit of thread locker on that as well. Tighten that down. And we are going to anchor these like so. Alright. Okay. Those are anchored in. And do that for both sides. Okay. So, let's wash up here. We are going to put the washer up and 2 nuts. Alright, so here's the top of the heater, right? Here's the heater. And this is how I mounted these, right? I have a nut and a washer on the top, sandwiched the mounting bracket in between, and then 2 nuts on the bottom. I put Loctite on all of these, so I don't want this to vibrate loose and come apart. What I have to do now is kind of figure out where this exhaust is going to go. So I'm going to kind of have to measure where this is going to go. So we will set it up, and that looks pretty good right about here. So let's mark that off. I was just reading on the wall thimble, it says it's got to be 18 inches before you can put it through the wall thimble, and guess what? We're at 19. So just enough space. So here's the wall thimble, and it's going to have to hit some wood studs to be able to mount it. So I've got to frame this in just a touch. Okay, so let's measure out where this is going to be. Roughly. Alright, so I've framed in the spot for the thimble. I've re-insulated it, and then I'm going to tape this and drywall it. So before we do anything else, we're going to cut the holes to the outside. So I'm going to drill through, make some spots where I can get my Sawzall in. Alright, so we got the heater, gas fitters here. We are going to install the thimble. I put drywall up, so taped everything, vapor buried all of it. Got the drywall up, got the hole cut. And where's the thimble? Here's our thimble. We pre-drilled the mounting holes in the thimble. And away we go. Yeah. Gas pressure was good?
Yeah. Yep.
So the exhaust here, you have to put some sealant around it, and they have these weird tabs to hold it all together, and they're like ring clamps, and you just pull the tabs over just to keep it all together. There's also like a gasket inside these pipes to keep it sealed. Goes through the thimble, through the wall, which I'm going to seal this crack up with some more high temperature sealant just to keep the bugs out. I kind of wanted to leave it open, but it's just going to get full of bugs, and then, you know, it's just not going to be a good thing. So the gas line, so it starts off here with the union, and then we have solid gas pipe here and all the way down here, and then the drip leg that switches to like a flexible copper, which was already here, and then it has a shutoff valve right over here. Okay, and it's important that you have the drip leg, and it's really important that you have the shutoff valve. Okay, electrical is back here in this box. Simple, you know, black, white, and ground connection. We used an appliance plug here. The appliance plug runs up to this outlet, which doesn't have a cover plate on it yet. I've got to sand that off and clean that up. And then I've just cable tied it to keep it from moving around. Anyway, I'm going to fire this up, and you can hear it in action. So first, the exhaust fan comes on, the vent fan, and that comes on, turns on for a bit. Then you'll hear the igniter come on. Just give it a second here. You hear that buzzing, and then it ignites it, and the igniter stays on for a second until the flame sensor tells it to shut off. So it takes the flame sensor a little bit to come up to temperature, because it's a thermistor basically. Anyway, and now this is it. So we're waiting now for the blower fan to come on. The blower fan will come on in a second here. There it is. And that's it. So my head's pretty close to this. Like, I'm touching it. So this is how loud it is. That's how loud it is when you're up close. Not very loud. I'm shocked at how quiet it is. Alright, so there's the exhaust. It has to be past the wall by 12 inches. So we're past that. We have the red around there is the high temperature silicone sealant. We just use the same stuff around the edges as around the pipe. And a lot of people put the exhaust port sideways instead of like horizontal instead of vertical, but it actually says to make this vertical. So I don't think it'll really make a difference, but yeah, that's how it is in the instructions, so that's how we put it. All right. So final thoughts on this unit heater. I really like it. Yeah, it works great. It looks great. It's up and out of the way. It's small. It's quiet. It was relatively easy to install, and I did get a gas fitter to do the gas line, because I know a guy, right? I know a guy. It's smaller than my last heater, so it takes a little longer to heat up. Right now, with all the holes in my ceiling, and there's a lot of them, it's going to take 45 minutes or so, maybe even an hour, to get up to an operating temperature of 15 degrees. Once the ceiling is closed up and the insulation is back in there, it should only take me, 20 minutes to half an hour to get this heated up nicely. And in the wintertime, it could be minus 20 in here. I can get it heated up usually with my old heater in like 10 minutes, and this is half the size, so I'm going to say 20 minutes, half an hour, maybe slightly longer.